In this video, we are going to get a test score for a student, and our test score is going to run from a low of 0 to 100. We'll make sure that the user does not put in 105 or does not put in -5. So we're going to need a couple of constants. So the first thing we need is, type the word constant is really the first thing we need. And then we will do lowest score, and that will be 0. And then highest score. So now what we need is an integer. Now we're only doing integers right now. So let's just go and put in an integer, and we'll just call it score. So I'm going to do this with a do while loop. So we're going to do it first with a while that has a condition, and then second, we're going to do it by inputting a Boolean. The Boolean should make it a little bit clearer, and we talked about Booleans in one of the other ones. If you don't recall, Boolean is something that equates to either true or false, and it's a great way to determine if a condition needs to end. So let's go and do a do, and it's a little bit different. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to type in while, and then in here is the condition and a parentheses in here, and then a semicolon. So we don't have the condition right now. So let's go and start it off with cout, enter a score between lowest and notice the space, and then again notice the space, and then we'll do cin score. So now the issue is we're not testing the score anywhere in here. So what we'll do here is we'll put a condition here that says while, and notice I've got the score here is less than lowest score, or score is greater than highest score. Now, the problem with this is it's readable, no problem. But the problem is if they enter the wrong thing, a message is never going to get displayed telling them that you messed up, and they're going to be confused. So let's go, and then you could do a if score is less than lowest or score is greater than highest, print you messed up, blah, 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 blah. But then you're kind of calculating the same thing over and over again to make your program longer. But that's okay too, because either way, when you have a Boolean, you're still going to calculate, and you'll see that in a bit. So let's skip the error message for right now, and let's just go. So let's start off with 105. And let's start with -5. And now let's do 100. And that should end. And that's it. So we'll do here, we'll print something. Cout your score was and let's test it again. Make sure it prints the right score. Then I'm going to do something different to show you an issue. So we have enter score between 0 and 10, and let's just do 100. Says your score was 100. Now, it is permissible to do this. But remember, I keep saying, do not do this. Initialize and declare all variables in the top. It's permissible to do this. And some compilers, you may get an error, and some compilers, you may not. So we have while score. Okay, so it's saying, I don't understand. Why is this giving me an error when I have clearly defined score here? Remember we talked about that the variable can only be seen from bracket to bracket. So that means this score here is okay only in here. So that's no big deal. So let's go here and say, let's create our Boolean. So we're going to do a Boolean here, and we'll call it valid score. And we'll just be happy and call it there. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to do score is, and we're going to actually do this way. We're going to do invalid score and a valid score. The way you do it is really up to you. So let's do valid score first. And what we need to do is we need to determine what the valid score is. I think I spelled this wrong. So valid score, I know I can do this. There we go. So now what we need to do here and we'll put while not valid score. So basically what we're saying here is keep doing this until we get it. Now, wait a minute. We have a problem. We're not able to see the score. So we have everything peachy keen. We're not using the score here. I don't understand. What's happening? That's because score is only being able to see between here and here. So let's get this out here. And let's run this one more time. So now we're doing valid score. And then what we're going to do here, if not valid score, then we're going to tell the user that they messed up. You have entered an invalid score. Please re-enter. So let's see what happens now when we did it. Now notice that there's only one line here, but I am a big fan of putting brackets in. I just think it causes issues if you don't, because one time you're going to add another statement and then all of a sudden your program's not going to work. So now we're going to test it. We made a change and score looks good down here. So let's start off with, and we'll put a little \A, which normally does not work if you have a Mac, because this is a Windows function call, so it probably does not work, but you can always give it a try. So let's go and choose this in here. So we're going to enter 105 and see what happens. Now you probably won't hear the beep because it'll be coming through my headphones. And your score was 105. So now notice how we tested something and it didn't work. We have an issue in here. Your score was 105. Okay, but we know that this did not work in here. So here is, remember when I keep saying that if you have a problem, you want to test it right from the very beginning and find out. It says, if not valid score, we did not get that thing. So how do you troubleshoot this thing in here? You go and you look at your valid score. If not valid score, you have entered it in here. So let's take a look at this code, and let's see if we can figure out exactly what's wrong with it. So we're going to run this one more time, and then we're going to look and see what the actual error is. So I'm putting in 105, and it says your score was 105. Well, that's not good. So let's try putting in a valid score and see what happens. Let's do 100. Wait a minute, you entered a valid score because I spelled enter wrong. So we obviously have a logic error here. So the logic error is right in here. We're basically saying a valid score is something that's invalid. So you either need to change this to valid score equals score greater than or equal to the lowest score, and score is less than or equal to the highest score, or we need to change this to invalid score. So let's make this invalid score here. Let's just do it this way. And we'll make this invalid score. And we'll make this invalid score. You know, again, the choice is which way you prefer to do it. So now we made a change. Let's go back and test it. So the first thing we're going to do is, what happened to my little window is gone. And it's back. So we're going to type in 105, and it should tell us invalid score. So that's good. Now we have some cosmetic issues, so we can fix that. So now let's type in -5. Okay, so that's not good. So now we'll type in 100. And your score was 100. So let's fix our and that should take care of that. So now we're good here. So now let's write the exact same code, only we'll write it using valid score. And that way you'll have both of them together. So we're going to just copy this code here, but we need another Boolean. And we'll call it valid score. So let's copy this code here. And we'll make the changes. So the first thing we need to change is while invalid score. So we want to do valid score is greater than or equal to the lowest score. But if we leave this as or, it's going to be an issue. So let me leave it at or for right now. So let's just say we leave this here and we didn't have an and. If I were to type in 105, this would be nice because 105 is definitely greater than the lowest score. But it's still not less than that. But because we have or, we're going to run into a problem. So here we need to make sure that this is and. And then we need to make sure that this is valid score of if not valid score. And while not valid score. So your decision is which way do you prefer. It really doesn't matter which one you use, whatever one you feel more comfortable. So I would make this a little bit more readable just by putting one line. Don't go crazy with lines. So, and then I would put in here, while. So let's run this again now. And the first one we'll put in a valid score. Now it's not going to print in, do the score, because we have it down at the bottom. So let's go and run this. And we'll do 100. And then we'll do it again and do 105. Okay, so now we have an issue. So let's do -5. Okay, now we have an issue. So let's go and type in 100, and it does say your score. So putting in these constants here allows us to say, hey, wait a minute, I forgot. We have extra credit. So notice how it says enter a score between lowest scores. So let's just say that we typed in 0 and 100. So I would have to say enter a score between, put in 0 and 100. Then I would have to check, put in 0 and 100 in here. But now I say, oh, I want to give extra points. So let me make this 105. So now I have to go back and change this and this. And it may be in other places. Here, all I have to do is make this one change. So let's make this one change here, make it 105 because I'm feeling nice, and we're going to give extra points. So let's start off right from the get-go. And let's just put in 110. So that's no good, so let's put in 15. What I always do is I test something below the limit and above the limit. Then I test something at the lower limit and at the higher limit. That kind of gives you a good leeway of different data. So let's just do 105 and enter a score between 0 and 105. So let's enter 105 here. So your score was 105. So we're good. So this was a little bit different because of this OR statement. And that's what I was telling you about over here and here. So we're good here. So that is everything in here. So I will leave this on the screen for you. And if you have any questions, let me know.